So why do this? Why have something like this? Now, for me, it's very simple. You know, my life began in the inner city of Atlanta, Georgia, February the 7th of 1961. And at that time, I was born in a blacks-only hospital in Atlanta, Georgia. I had the honor of being able to grow up in the same neighborhood that gave us Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., the old 4th Ward neighborhood. My elementary school was right across the street from Ebenezer Baptist Church. My congressional representative growing up in Atlanta, Georgia, was a guy by the name of John Lewis. But interestingly enough, even though my parents were registered Democrats, my parents did not raise me with principles and values and the philosophy that we see of Democrats today. My parents raised me with conservative, true principles and values. And what are those principles and values? It is our Judeo-Christian faith heritage. Because if you understand the United States of America, you understand that there is no other nation like the United States of America that was founded on the premise that your individual rights, your life, your liberty, your property, pursuit of happiness, they don't come from man. They don't come from government. They come from the Creator God. And that's a very important aspect of who we are. When you look at our 3 branches of government, you can go to the book of Isaiah and you can see how it was modeled after how Isaiah talked about how God is our king, God is the lawgiver, and God is our judge. And so we got those 3 branches of government, the executive, the legislative, and the judicial branch. When you think about the Declaration of Independence, where Thomas Jefferson quoted the theories of John Locke, natural rights theory, when he talked about the laws of nature and nature's God. When you look at the end of the Declaration of Independence, those 56 signers did not ask for man's providence. They asked for divine providence in establishing these United States of America. But I will tell you that when you look at what is happening in our inner city communities, we're drifting further and further away from that foundation of our Judeo-Christian faith heritage. It pains me to no end when I see a Black Lives Matter banner on a church. Because Black Lives Matter is a Marxist organization. And Marxism is based upon secular humanism. It has nothing to do with our faith. And if it has nothing to do with our faith, it has nothing to do with the foundation of these United States of America. But the left has been so good working with the secular humanists and undermining our Judeo-Christian faith heritage. And if it's going to be restored, it's the people that are in this room right now. See, on any given Sunday in the United States of America, the most conservative people, they ain't white. They're black, they're Hispanic, and they're Asian Christians. Because Christianity is based upon what? Christianity is based upon the individual. See, we don't get together on a Sunday and we're in a college football huddle or something like that, and we all start, shaking and moving around and whatever, and we profess, all of us, to be able to accept Jesus Christ. Salvation is individual. But yet when we don't connect with people on Sunday, when we don't get them to understand that salvation is individual, that as it says in Romans that you're more than a conqueror, then the next thing you know, they listen to the message of being a victim. And they listen to the message of being part of a collective, which is what the left wants. And so we need the minority communities to get back, in our churches especially, to reestablish that Judeo-Christian faith heritage. Back in the Revolutionary War, they had the Black Robe Regiment. Those pastors that came out of the pulpit and they came down and they fought for liberty and freedom. We need to have more members of the church, more members as pastors that are part of this Black Robe Regiment right now. And what does it say in the Bible? I see my dear friend Pastor Stephen Broden here, and I better make sure if I'm quoting scripture, I better quote it right in Mark Little here. But what does it say in the Bible in 2 Timothy chapter 4 about tickling of the ears? What does it talk about the false narratives and the false doctrines that we see in our churches? That's exactly what is happening now. And we need you all to challenge these pastors to stand up and speak about God's truth and not be part of this cultural Marxism, not want to be compromised, not want to appease, not want to negotiate, not want to acquiesce. Because when we are no longer the salt of the earth, when we're no longer the light that we are called to be, as it says in Matthew, then what good are we? The second thing about conservative principles and values are strong families. And I would tell you, all you have to do is look at the black community to see exactly what the progressive socialist left wants to do with all minority communities in the United States of America. Even though I was born in a blacks-only hospital in 1961, the two-parent household in the black community back then in the 60s, 75 to 77%. What's the two-parent household in the black community today? Mother and father in the home? 24%? Maybe 23%. And how did that happen? It happened because Lyndon Baines Johnson, President of the United States of America, from where? Right here, the great state of Texas, decided in his Great Society programs that he was going to say, we can give a check to a woman that has a child out of wedlock. And the government will continue to give her a check no matter how many children she has out of wedlock. One caveat: she can't have a working man in the home. And so now you have the institution of government, you have the progressive socialist left that destroyed the most powerful aspect, the foundation of the black community, that had gone through slavery, gone through secession, gone through all of those dark periods. And now look at what has happened in our inner city communities. And when was the last time you saw Black Lives Matter show up in Detroit, Chicago, Dallas? And talk about the crime, talk about the black-on-black shootings that are going on, talk about the lack of good quality opportunities. They don't. But it starts right with having a strong mother and father in the home. But now all of a sudden people have gone out there and redefined what family is. And too many of us are allowing that to happen. Too many of us, even in our churches, are allowing the redefinition of what family is supposed to be. And if it's going to change, it has to happen with the people that are here. The other thing about conservative principles and values is that we believe in the individual. We believe in their rights, their freedoms, their liberty. And if you don't understand what is happening now in the United States of America, and especially in an America which was founded on the premise that the individual is supreme and sovereign over the institution of government, now we have the institution of government supreme over the individual. So that now you don't control your own body. Now how interesting it is that when the left wants to murder an unborn baby in the womb, what is it that they say? They say, my body, my choice. But now all of a sudden, when it comes to you being stuck with something in your arm, you no longer have control over your body. You no longer have a choice. And if we get to the point in the United States of America where you cannot even make a decision about your own body, what else will you be able to make a decision about? Absolutely nothing. And the fact now that the secular humanists are trying to undermine religious exemptions, saying that you do not even have a religious exemption. See, we don't live in a place under authoritarian and dictatorial rule because your inalienable rights come from a creator God. And if we don't come back to understand the importance of the individual and understand the importance of economic empowerment of the individual, not economic enslavement of the individual. No person in the United States of America, I don't believe, wakes up every single day and sits back and says, I'm waiting for my check from the government. I'm waiting for my Section 8 house. But when that's the only message that they hear, the message of being a victim, not the message of being a victor, then that's what they go for. And sadly, that is what is happening in the United States of America. The other thing that's important about who we are as conservatives is that we believe in good quality education. We believe in educational freedom, education opportunity, because that unlocks all the doors. And sadly, even here in the state of Texas, we couldn't even get school choice passed. When we got Republican as the governor, Republican as the lieutenant governor, Republican control of the Senate, Republican control of the State House, we couldn't even get school choice passed. You want me to tell you how important school choice is? My mother and father made the choice for me not to send me to two public schools in our neighborhood, C.W. Hill and John Pope. They sent me to a small black Catholic school, Our Lady of Lourdes. as I said, was located right across the street from Ebenezer Baptist Church. Because they understood if Allen gets his quality education, Allen can achieve whatever he wants. Allen gets to have the equality of opportunity that this country affords. But what does the left want? Equality of outcomes. That's what equity is. Equity means that we're going to try to make everybody equal. Now, if I'm correct, in the Bible it talks about all of us have different kind of gifts and everything like that. God didn't mean for us to be equal. God made me 5'9" and not 6'3". I ain't angry with him because he gave me other talents, other abilities. But if we fall into that belief that everyone is supposed to lose their individuality, everyone cannot have equality of opportunity, everyone cannot have the equal access to a quality education, then look at our kids today. Look at what is happening today. And let me tell you something, the most important elected position in the United States of America, the school board. But it's the election that also has the least amount of voter participation.
And that's sad.
And when you go into our inner city minority communities, what do you see happening? We don't see the people that are out there running for school boards. We don't see the people that are focused and concerned about making sure that our kids are not indoctrinated, but they're educated. Making sure that they can be critical thinkers so that they don't have to sit back and worry about a check from the government or living in Section 8 housing. And I will tell you something. To my Hispanic and Asian brothers and sisters sitting here, just look at what they did to the black community. That's their goal. That's the objective. Is to get more people dependent upon them than are independent themselves. And the Hispanic community, all those things about conservative principles, values, your small business entrepreneurship, same with the Asian community. And so many people in the Hispanic and Asian community came from countries that have this authoritarian rule. You know, some of the most conservative people here in the state of Texas, go visit the Vietnamese community, either here in Fort Worth or down there in Houston. Because they know what communism is about. They know what Marxism is about. You talk to people from China or Taiwan, they've seen this, they understand. You talk to people from Hong Kong, but yet we're sitting here and allowing the exact same thing to perpetuate itself and permeate itself and proliferate itself throughout our electoral systems. It is time for us to stand up and defend this republic. And the last great thing about constitutional conservatism is this we'll defend. That's the motto of the United States Army, established on June the 14th of 1775. See, before there was a country, there was a military, there was an army, there was a navy, there was a Marine Corps, because America is an ideal. And so many people have come here to the shores of this country because of that ideal. Because it's not about where you're born, where you come from. It's about what's in your heart. And if we don't stand up and profess that, if we don't take that out there, if we no longer want to stand up and defend this, you know, one of the great things about the Hispanic community, the demographic that has the most Medal of Honor recipients in the history of the United States of America is the Hispanic community.
Viva los hispanos.
She said, long live the Hispanics.
No, viva.
Yeah,
Hooray.
viva.
Hooray.
Okay. Peanut gallery. But see, this is what I'm saying. The power to change America is in this room. And that's what Julie brought together. And that's what is going to make America great once again. It is not the elitists. It's not the people that, you know, write the big checks. It's each and every one of you in your own little place, your own little sphere of influence. Because together we can create this impossible light that will shine through this darkness that we have out there right now. So what do we need to do going forward? We need to have more of these. Not just once a year or once every other year. We need to have them quarterly. You need to have them within your own communities. You need to sit down so you can be better informed, better educated, and then you can be activated. I learned that from Pastor Broden. Because too often we don't understand that this is an ideological battle that we are in. And this ideological battle is the essence of who we are, whether we still believe in our individual rights, freedoms, liberty, and sovereignty, or we're just going to be a number. And we're just going to be ruled by people that will hand out edicts, orders, mandates, and decrees instead of governing us by the rule of law. So my challenge to you is very simple. You've got to take everything that you've heard here, and you've got to branch out. It is real easy to talk in the echo chamber. That's what the left does. They talk in the echo chamber, and they never realize how stupid they really are. Look at the people out there in California, what they just did. And oh, by the way, you know something? I just thought about this. You know, let's see, we got blacks, Hispanics, and Asians here, right? We got a whole bunch of white supremacists. Isn't that what they said out in California, that Larry Elder was the black face of white supremacy? See, that's how insidious it is. That's how afraid they are of you and what you can bring to the table. Because so often they have controlled the minority communities through deceit, or through coercion, threats, intimidation. So when you go back into your communities, you can't be afraid because, you know, I might lose some friends. Hey, in 2008, when I told my relatives that I was not going to vote for Barack Obama because of his principles, and I read his books, and I was like, I ain't voting for this mess. I got disinvited from all kinds of things, family reunions or whatever, and I told them I didn't like it, you know, being around y'all. Most of y'all can't cook anyhow, okay? But the amazing thing is that when you stand your ground, 4 years later, those exact same family members came around and said, we see what you were talking about. So I want you to go out and find 5 people. 5 people that are not in your echo chamber. 5 people that are not in your box. 5 people that don't think and believe as you do. And all I'm asking is to get 3 out of that 5. That's 60%. If you can get 60% on your own, that's a political landslide. So stop looking to the politicians and the elected officials. Think about what you're going to do yourself in your own little sphere of influence. Get outside of your echo chamber. Get outside of your comfort zone. Go into the places where you need to stand up and pray. That's what Jesus did. He went before the Pharisees and the Sadducees and all of them, made them feel real dumb. There are so many people out there right now that are looking for something positive. They're looking for a light. They know that something's not going right. People are sitting around and they saw what happened in Afghanistan. They go to the gas pump and they see that the gas prices are too high. They go to the grocery store, they see what is going on. But they're looking for someone that can explain that to them in a very principled way. You know, we had a saying in the military. The soldiers don't care what you know. Soldiers want to know that you care. And too often we go out there and we start blah, 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 and we throw out facts and figures and all this kind of stuff trying to impress people with what we know, when all they want to know is that do you care? Progressive socialists, Marxists, statists, they don't care about people. They want to control people. That's the history of who they are. And if they cannot control you, they will destroy you. Constitutional conservatism, true classical liberalism, cares about the individual and elevating them. And that's what I want you to go out and do in your respective communities. 2022 is an important election cycle. And the left understands that 2022 is an important election cycle. In Bill Clinton's very first midterm election, he lost 54 congressional seats. Contract with America, Newt Gingrich. In Barack Obama's first midterm election, he lost 63 congressional seats. The biggest loss of congressional seats post-World War II. The left knows what's coming down the pipe. in their first midterm election for Joe Biden. And that's why they don't want to see election integrity. That's why they don't want to see us have honest and fair elections. That's why they want to have universal mail-in ballots like what you just saw out there in California. That's why they don't want to see any picture ID to go to vote, so that all of these millions of illegals that have come across the border through the state of Texas, going all across the United States of America, can get out there to vote. That's why we need you all to stand up. Okay? When President Biden spoke in his inaugural address, it was not about unity. His address was about conformity. And if you don't conform to the leftist agenda, then you're an enemy of the state. And unfortunately, you're a white supremacist, because that's their fallback for everything, regardless of who you are. And remember, black brothers and sisters, Joe Biden said, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. So that's how they try to define us, in that our ethnicity, our race, is supposed to determine how we think and what we believe. God gave each and every one of us a brain for us to think for ourselves and not to be mindless lemmings. The true essence of America and the future of America is with the black, Hispanic, and Asian communities. It's with the Christian communities that often does not come out and vote like they should. It's with our pastors and our leaders in these churches that need to stand up on faith and not be afraid to profess and preach God's word, because that is the foundation of who we are. So when you leave out of here today, you've got to be encouraged, you got to be emboldened, and you've got to be just like the people who left the upper room when that fire came down upon them and that Holy Spirit occupied their soul. If you've ever been down to the Alamo in San Antonio, there's this incredible memorial, because the defenders of the Alamo were all slaughtered down to the last man. Their bodies were piled up and they were all set aflame. There's a memorial there called the Cenotaph. And the Cenotaph is called the Spirit of Texas, the Spirit of Victory. Each and every one of you has that spirit within you. Now you just have to go out and profess it and go out and win it for your respective city, your state, and for these great United States of America. God bless you all for taking the time out of your busy lives and busy schedules to be here. God bless this great state of Texas. God bless these United States of America. And for the black, Hispanic, and Asian communities, we are the salt of the earth. We are the salt of America. Now go out there and make it happen. God bless you all and thank you.